We're so excited to welcome to Spur leadership Clint Bruce. Clint is a graduate of the Naval Academy where he also played football. He went on to serve in the Navy as a Navy SEAL for 7 years and now is an entrepreneur who owns his own security firm in the Dallas area, as well as being a husband and a father. You want to talk about a special operator. Clint Bruce is a special operator. And so today I want to ask you if you will join me in welcoming to the stage our new friend, Clint Bruce.
Can you hear me? Is this good? Everybody hear me okay? It's great. Is that fan going to be going the whole time? Because I have ADD. And it's like noise like moth to a flame. I'll just keep migrating over there. Now I'm excited to be here. Can everybody hear me okay? Really? All right, great. They want us to turn it up a little bit there in the back.
We're going to get that fan off.
Yeah. It's so funny. I was thinking just even in the last few years since I've been blessed enough to have opportunities to go and speak with people, like how much things have changed. Because in any other presentation I've given, if I knew, hey, tweet while they're talking, like that's like, I'd punch in the throat. I'm like, what? Like, tweet? Don't tweet at me. I don't know. But this is, apparently it's a social media platform. It's not heckling. So tweet away. Tweet. They told me the other day, like, hey, sir, we need you to start tweeting. I just kind of looked at him. I was like, do I look like the kind of guy that tweets? I'm not. You call it something else, I might do it, but I'm not tweeting, I promise you. I'm too insecure. I'm excited to be here. I love opportunities to visit with people. I feel very blessed. I just got to kind of just share these things that I've learned along the way. But not always do I get to share them with leaders, just kind of folks who are or aspire to be or currently are serving others in the capacity of a leader. And it means a lot to me because here's one thing I would tell you. Heavy is the brow that wears the crown. Being a leader is hard. It's hard. And sometimes when you're doing it for a real long time, you got to remember why you started doing it in the first place. So to have an opportunity to visit with a group of leaders is fantastic. To have an opportunity to be down in Austin is great. It was funny. I was talking to Mac. I'm like, hey, what do I wear? And he's like, well, it's just business casual for Austin. And I'm like, I got to wear clothes. I mean, you go a lot of different places with just business casual Austin. And I almost wore a kilt and a Thin Lizzy concert t-shirt, and my wife was there when I was packing, so that didn't make it. What I want to talk to you today is this concept called pursuing elite. It's this concept called pursuing elite because at the end of the day, that's all I've ever really tried to do. And the byproduct of that is just kind of this wonderful life that I feel as much a spectator of as a participant in. And it's this concept of just, hey, where am I and what's next? And let's be really, really excited about what's next. And that's why I asked Mac when we talked, I'm like, hey, let's not spend a whole lot of time talking about the football or the SEALs and all this other stuff. Because, I mean, that's what I did, and I'm proud of it, and I'm excited. And I have teammates and men I got to serve with that are here in the room right now, and I'm very honored to call them friend. And I would tell you that that SEAL experience is passionate, spectacular, and I love it. But the thing I take away from it, what it was like to live among such men. To breathe rare air for those years of my life. That's what I want to tell you about. The missions, they come and go. The stories, they come and go. The men, their wives, their families, their lives, man, I could talk to you about that for a while. So pursuing elite, what does that mean? What it means is this. I'm a very simple guy. I was born in Arkansas. That should explain a lot as we continue to go here. And I was born in Arkansas. I moved to Dallas when I was 12. And let me be clear, when I say I moved from Arkansas to Dallas, what I mean is I moved to Garland. And if you're going to move from Arkansas to Dallas, Garland's the way to do that. It's a pretty seamless transition. It's like, hey, I'm still in Arkansas, but I'm just closer to Six Flags is what it feels like. It's great. These books have pictures too. So I try to keep things simple. Because I've outpunted my coverage for a while here, and simple typically sticks. And what I tell you is this, is in any endeavor, in anything you try to do, you're really only going to have 5 outcomes. That's it. Just 5. You're going to have bad, average, good, excellent, or elite. That's all you can do. You can have bad, you can have average, you can have good, you can have excellent and elite. And so as we look at excellent and elite, like what's the difference between those two things? And the difference between those two things was made really clear to me in the days shortly after 9/11. Myself and my chief, I was very lucky as an officer to do 4 deployments and 3 platoons. We normally don't get that many opportunities. And we were one of the first groups over there, and we started taking these ships down. And as leaders, you know this moment very well. If you've ever been around a highly talented organization and you just watched everything click. And we hit this one ship, and it was just beautiful. It was like watching the boys, it was just like watching water run downhill. It was magnificent. And as the officer, you get to sit back and just watch it happen and be so proud and so amazed. And so we rolled it up. We did a good job. We came back, and we walking across the flight deck to go brief the big man, and my chief was right next to me. And my chief was central casting, 18 years in the SEAL team, big barrel-chested frogman, bushy mustache. He was like my big brother, and I'd been with him for 5 years. And I remember we were walking across, and I said, "Hey, Chief, the boys were excellent. We ought to do something for them." And he stopped, dead still in his tracks. And he turned and he looked at me. He was mad. And he kind of leaned in and goes, "Hey, sir, the reward for excellence is no punishment. I'm not here to be excellent. I'm here to be elite." And he stomped off. And I thought 2 things in that moment. One, I'm so scared of him. I was doing so good, like I made eye contact for a little while, and I'm just back down to 0 now. I was like, "I'm gonna get some coffee if that's cool with you. Would you like coffee?" "I'm not, if you don't want me to have coffee, I won't have coffee." And the second thing was, I get it. I get it. See, excellence is this place on a map. It's measurable, it's quantifiable. And if you're a certain kind of person, it's an expectation. An elite is just that much further. It's the next ridge line. It's the next 1/10 of a second. The next rep, the next. And that's what Daniel was trying to tell me. And it was also the first time I made this difference between who you are and what you do. See, there's a difference between who you are and what you do. There's outcomes, bad, average, good, excellent, elite. And there's who you are, which is your talent, your skills, your gifting, your whatever. Because of the truth of the matter is this, I'm an achieving average. I'm an achieving average. I'm not an average achiever. I don't aim for small things. I'm an achieving average. When I say I'm average, what I mean is this. If you aggregate all of my skills, I'm a high C, low B in everything, except for looks. I'm really good looking. Let's just go ahead. Let's get it out of the way. I mean, it's real. The elephants in the room, say hello. All right, you're just supposed to laugh that hard when I talk about my looks. That's pretty hurtful. I mean, when you're the 5th string fullback on the 8th grade football team and there's only 3 other fullbacks, like, you got to come to grips. You got to come to grips with some averageness. You walk to the coach like, "Coach, I don't understand this. How am I the 5th string fullback? There's only 3 other fullbacks." And they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna put a guard in." And you're just like, "That's just rude. I mean, just don't say that." But I was never ashamed of it. I was never embarrassed about it. And it did not change my aim. All it did was show me that if I want to do the things I say I want to do, then I need 3 things. I need angles, allies, and advantages. And here's the deal. I don't care how talented you are. I don't care how talented you are. The mountain makes all men average. The mountain makes all men and women average. At some point in time, if you're aiming high enough, you're going to aim for something that's your average when you're measured against. And if you don't have angles, allies, and advantages when that happens, stand by, because it's going to hurt. And if we're racing, if you and I are racing up a 15,000-foot hill, here's the difference. There's going to be a point in time where you realize you needed angles, allies, and advantages. And if it's at 12,000 feet, that's tough, because they don't live up there. And here I come, trucking up. And you got 3 choices. Quit, go back down, get angles, allies, and advantages and try to beat me back up, or join me. So when I say I'm an achieving average, that's who I am. When I talk about being elite, that's what I want to do. And so let's talk about that. I want to talk about that. And what I want to do is I want to tell you these 5 things that I see are absolutely always there when I'm dealing with an elite organization, an elite person, an elite team. They're always there. So bad. There's nothing to share about bad. It's a short talk. Bad. Don't do it. Don't aim for it. Don't. And if you're bad, just like, hey, I got to stop doing this. Average. Man, average doesn't have any secrets. I've never in all my 40 years had someone come up to somebody and just go, man, what is your secret? How do you maintain such mediocrity for your entire life? It's not a book on Oprah. It's not like, the only thing close to it is Tom Arnold's book. He says, my name's Tom Arnold. Here's how I lost 6 pounds in 5 years. That's a fairly, candidly at 40, I think that's a pretty good goal. 6 pounds, 5 years, that's almost excellent right there. But average doesn't have any secrets. Then there's good. Now, good's okay if it's not your passion or your profession. It's okay if it's not your passion or your profession. But if it's your passion or your profession, the only things that are okay with you are excellent and elite. Like I said earlier, excellence is this quantifiable, it's this measurable thing. We can look to the NFL and see excellence. The combine is built to measure excellence. You are this tall. You are this fast. You can jump this high. You're excellent. But that doesn't mean you're going to do anything when you get there. See, excellence is the standard. And I'm not here to be excellent. I'm here to be elite. This is what my chief taught me. So when we talk today, for the next hour, I just need you to use my definitions for a couple words. You're going to hear me use the word elite. You're going to hear me use the word leader a lot. And I'm going to make you use my definition for a couple reasons. Because one, when I use the word leader, if you don't think you're a leader, you're not going to listen. And I really, really need you to listen. So here's what I mean when I mean leader. If anyone in your life in any way, at any time, depends on you, you're a leader. You're a leader. You don't get to not be a leader. So when we talk about it, listen up. If you're a mom, you're a leader. My wife, I'm not a leader. I'm like, babe, you have no idea how much of a leader you are. We got 3 little girls. And you lead me. The other word is elite. When I talk about elite, you could take that one of 2 directions. You could take it to elitist, or you can take it to an elite. And I do not mean elitist. And here's the difference. The difference is this. An elitist, I got no time for them. Don't like them, don't want to be around them. They make me angry. Because elitists are this. No matter what happens, it's just another cup of them. Just fill up another cup of them. Hey, I got an award. Get a bigger cup. Fill it up. It's just another cup of them. And we all know them. And then there's elites. Man, elites, they're different. Elites are always pouring themselves out on their community, on their family. They're using their time, they treasure their talents. They're almost reckless with that which makes them them because they're just not scared of running out of the good stuff. When I was at the Baltimore Ravens, there's a guy there, his name was Ray Lewis. That's why no one knows I was at the Baltimore Ravens, because I played the same position as him. I remember I went to that first drill and I just crushed the guy and I'm like, you're welcome, Baltimore Ravens, Clint Bruce is here. And we do the second drill and this guy cuts in front of me, and I'm a public school kid. You don't cut in front of me. I mean, that's big time, that's an offense. And then he does the drill, I'm like, he's pretty good. And then we did a third drill and I saw him do something I've never seen anybody else do. And I called my wife that night and I said, babe, guess what? She goes, you're gonna be the starting linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm like, nope, I'm gonna be the starting long snapper for the Baltimore Ravens. This guy named Ray Lewis, he's really good. And you read it later, it'll make sense later. Let's just keep going. The reality is Ray was really interesting when we were there. Because I saw Ray go to every linebacker and go, try this, do this. Even those that were competing for the same position. Because Ray knew 2 things. One, rising tides raise all boats. If I got to be better because they're better, we're all just better. And 2, he was just that good. He was not scared. So when I say elite, when I say leader, this is what I mean. So now let's go. The 5 habits. These things are always there. Battlefield, boardroom, ball field, doesn't matter. The 5 habits of all elites are this. They're always balanced. They're always curious. They're always tribal. They always, always, always know why they're there. And they always share their scars. They preach from their pain. It's always there. So what do those mean? Well, let's go through them. Balance, the first habit. Balance, honestly, is a challenging thing because balance causes us to not advance the skill that we're already good at. It doesn't mean don't get better. It doesn't mean sharpen your skill. It just recognize that the world requires balance of us. It requires us to be good at things other than what we just do. In the NFL, to be a better linebacker every day, that's great, but you better start being a better businessman too, and a better daddy, and a better husband, and a better athlete. See, balance gives you the ability to have an answer for what to do when it goes wrong, because here's the deal, folks. You can do everything right, and it still goes wrong. You know, this war would show us that. You know, we have lots of guys that are injured after a perfect mission where everything went great, and they hit a bomb that was there for 20 years. You got to have an answer for what to do when it goes wrong. And if all you're good at is what you're good at, that's not an answer. You're like the best one-legged boxer in the world, but when you can put that other foot down, because your family's right, your friends are right, your faith's right, man, you can become a pretty dangerous version of yourself. And let's be honest, we all want to be a little bit dangerous. There's a movie, Act of Valor. It's about our community, and it's a great movie. It tells the story pretty well. There's a line at the very beginning of it that I just loved. It's a line that says, the only thing bad about growing old is that other men stop thinking you're dangerous. I don't ever want other men to stop thinking I'm dangerous. What I've learned, balance makes me dangerous. See, if you don't have balance, you can only be reckless. Reckless is dangerous, yes, but it's dangerous to everybody, not just the enemy. You know, these young kids, man, I love them. They used to come up and be like, sir, I want to die for my country. I'm like, awesome, you go stand over there. We got a crazy helicopter for you. We got GoPros, we got cameras in it. It's going to be awesome. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I don't want to die for my country. I will. I don't want to. I want to fight for my country. I want to fight next to men I love, for a home I love, for a family I love, and come home. You know, balance is so hard because it's candidly at some point in the game, it's just easier to stay focused on the one thing you do. It's harder to work on being the thing you're not. You know, I ask myself this question all the time. I got 3 little girls, and I've got a bunch of great men that are dependent on me, and I got to be the highest version of myself possible for them. And you know, there's this 10,000 reps thing that everybody talks about, 10,000 hours. And you know, Malcolm Gladwell writes about it, and he didn't make it up, but he distills it really well. And what it says is, after 10,000 hours, 10,000 repetitions, you're an expert. You're an expert. But does that mean you're balanced? Because here's the deal, when I examine kind of these other things I've done in my life, and I look at a football player, did I do 10,000 reps as a football player? Did I make 10,000 tackles? Yeah, absolutely. In games and practice, in my mind, when I was visualizing, did I do 10,000 things? You bet. As a SEAL, did I make 10,000 decisions or pull the trigger 10,000 times? Absolutely. Training, my mind, yeah. As a businessman, have I made 10,000 decisions? Yeah, absolutely. As a husband, I've done 10,000 things a good husband does. I don't know. I don't know, but I want to. And wanting to is the beginning of all good things. Wanting to is good enough for my wife. As a daddy, I've done 10,000 things a good daddy does. Man, I don't know. I don't know, but I want to. And wanting to is the beginning of all good things. See, I wanted to be a great SEAL. That's awesome. But that's just a chapter of my life. I want to be balanced because I want to have an answer for what to do when it goes wrong. And all elites want that too. Balance. The second thing is curiosity. Man, curiosity is so important. Curiosity, I would tell you, as a person who, many of us in this room have been involved in war and terror in a variety of different ways, and one of the things we have to do is we have to make really fast decisions about people we're about to do really hard things with. So what's our inner calculus here? How do we make these decisions? One of the things I've always looked for is curiosity. I look for the curious, because the reality is this, is curious is one of the single greatest indications of bravery. Because all curiosity is intellectual courage. It's the willingness and the ability to raise your hand and go, hey, I don't know how to do that. When you really like for everyone to think you already know the answer. See, curiosity is willing to win, a willingness to win instead of just look great. Curiosity requires bravery. You gotta have it. If there's one skill I'm trying to cultivate in my daughters, it's the bravery, the courage to be curious. The mere habit of curiosity distinguishes you from average people. Young guys, let me tell you what, curiosity gives you an opportunity to have a great career. Curiosity is one of the only things that will give you the opportunity to have a great career as an athlete, as an academic, as a business person. Those in the middle season of our careers, curiosity is one of the only things that can be a catalyst to the next level. It's one of the only things that can be a catalyst to the next level. And for us in a kind of a peak season of leadership, curiosity is the one thing that competes with complacency. See, when you're on top, it's easy to become complacent. And curiosity is one of the only things that can stop it. And all elites know this. That's why they're curious. It was funny, when I was with Ray in 1997, I saw him ask questions. I saw him 14 years later when I went to speak to him, and he was still asking questions. That same chief that told me the reward for excellence is no punishment. At the beginning of every platoon cycle is 18 to 24 months, what it's supposed to be. And it's just like the teams I played on in football that won all the time, they started every season with, gentlemen, this is a football. They took you all the way back down to 0. Our platoons tried to do the same thing, and I used to watch this. You know, we were in our 3rd, 4th platoon, and they'd walk up and like, does anyone know what an M4 is? M4 is a basic battle rifle of the United States military. And there's my chief. No, I don't know what an M4 is. And his point was, everybody knew he knew what M4 was. But he knew there was some young guy in that room that was too afraid to raise his hand and go, I need to know how that works. And what Dano knew is that he better know how to use it when we get there. So I'll ask the question. Curiosity. Curiosity is courage. The third thing is this: all elites are tribal. I'm not at war with the word team. Team doesn't bother me. I'm not against it. It just doesn't do anything for me. Team is just this administrative description. It's you and I get on the same bus, we wear the same colors, we get paid by the same guy, we play the same people. It's just administrative. And teams never change the world, but tribes, man, tribes change the world. Again, we can look to football on this. There's 32 teams at the beginning of every season. At the end, there's just tribes left. You know, I tell these guys all the time, I say, man, there's 2 types of people in the NFL wearing helmets on Sunday. There's players and there's pros. Players are excellent. They're happy to be there. Pros are trying to be remembered and go home with rings. There's 2 types of organizations in the NFL. There's teams and there's tribes, because the reality is the days of the dynasty are over. It doesn't exist anymore. The game of football does not allow, the business of football does not allow the dynasty to exist anymore. What you find when you see teams that are winning over and over again, you find organizations that know how to get the best pros on their team every year. See, tribes are around an idea. They're not around a person. It's hard to beat an idea. Most of us in this room know that. There's a great book called The Starfish and the Spider, and it really talks about, one of the things it says is, how were the Spaniards able to conquer the Aztecs and the Incas in less than 2 years each, but they never beat the Apaches? It's because the Apaches were an idea. You cut the head off a spider, what happens? Spider dies. You cut anything off a starfish, what happens? Grows back. And whatever you cut off becomes a starfish on its own. See, tribes are like that. And they're really hard to beat. In the military, we say this all the time: 2 is 1, 1 is none. What it means is if you're on your own, you're wrong. There's no concept, there's no battle tactic that celebrates the individual person. You know, everyone knows the book Lone Survivor, great son of Texas, Marcus Luttrell. He's got a twin brother named Morgan, who is a spectacular human being. If you see someone that looks like Marcus, make sure it's not Morgan. And if it's Morgan, tell him thanks for his service, because he did a great job too. What Marcus would tell you is Marcus would rather you not know who he is. He'd rather you not know. He'd rather not have written the book Lone Survivor. He'd rather there not be a movie. He'd rather have Axe and Danny and Murph and Eric. He'd rather have them. And the worst moment was when he woke up and he realized, I'm alone. Because here's what we know: if I'm by myself, I'm wrong. Tribes know this. Tribes know this because the things they're trying to do are so hard that they need more than just themselves to do it. Man, at the Naval Academy, I'm wearing my shirt because I love it and I'm very proud of it. And I would tell you, we were very successful when I played football, and we were successful for this reason alone. You had to play 11 of us every down. You had to play 11 of us every down. And we knew what we were supposed to do. and we love the guy next to us. And if I only had to play 6 of you that felt that way, then that's 11 versus 6, and I got a pretty good chance. I don't care how big you are. If I'm lower than you, I win. I don't care how fast you are. If I know where you're going, I'm faster than you. Tribes live on these, and they distribute them to each other. And they win a lot. All elites are part of tribes, or they want to be. The last two are hard because they're about you. It's the condition of your heart. It's about you. And not everybody has the courage to take these on, but I tell you, if you do, or if you start this way, man, stand by. The fourth habit is elites always know why they're there. They always know why they're there. They never forget why they started. They have a mechanism built in place to help them remember why they started, because elites know you got to have a great why, because the what's are coming. And the what's are these resistance points. The what's are the things that'll tell you can't. The what's are the waking up at 5 in the morning, staying up till 1 at night, going here when you don't want to, doing that rep, doing that mile. The what's are all the reasons not to do stuff. But when you got a why, man, they're just what's. Just what's. And all of us have this story, but when I went through Buds, we had about 262 guys start up. 260 guys. I want to be a SEAL, I want to be a SEAL, I want to be a SEAL. When we left, there's only 12 of us left. There's just 12. I know there's other men in this room that have those same numbers as part of their lives, and now I'm fascinated by that. When I was going through it, I didn't really think a whole lot. I was just trying to do it. I have this kind of Forrest Gumpian life. I just kind of put my head down, and I'd run, and I look up, and I'm at the Naval Academy. This place is really hard. And I put my head down, and I wake up, and I'm like, I'm married, and she's hot, and that's great. Because I'm not. I mean, let's just be honest. And then I put my head down. I'm like, I'm a SEAL, and I'm living among lions every day. And I didn't think about it when I was doing it, but now I think about it all the time. Because I got these little girls, and I want to give them my skills and not my scars. And I got these men I'm trying to lead and help them be better than I ever was at their age. And I figured it out. There's 2 reasons I made it. And I'll share them with you today. The first reason I made it is I was lucky. I was lucky. Now, here's the deal. I get it. Luck is the marriage of hard work, circumstance, opportunity. It is. The harder you work, the luckier you are. It's also luck. It's also just luck, man. I was born in the United States of America. I was loved a certain way. I was led a certain way. I was given certain opportunities. I didn't get hurt. I was lucky. And that doesn't diminish anything. It just puts it in the right place, because here's the deal. When you know you're lucky, you know what? You want to be lucky again. You don't take it for granted. You steward it. You don't think you're entitled to all the stuff you got. You know you're lucky, and you want to be lucky again. And you want others around you to be lucky too. And I was lucky. The second reason I made it is this. I never forgot why I was there. I never forgot why I was there. So when it came to the what's, it didn't really matter. You know, I remember I'd come into work one day, and they're like, you're going to run 8 miles. And I'm like, I'm sorry. You just said 8 miles. I'll give you a second to figure this out. Like, I don't like running. I'm not a gazelle. Just, yeah, I have issues with running. I don't think it's wise. Anybody here run marathons? Okay, that's dumb. Let's not do that. And here's why. I didn't say you're dumb. I'm just saying that's not it. So let's look at history. You know what history is? History of marathon. Guy ran 26.2 miles. We won. You know what happened then? He died. I just don't think we need to model that kind of behavior. I think it's irresponsible, you know. Just run, 4 miles 6 times, and then, run up a hill or something. I was just like, mostly that's just me. I don't like running. But all right, that's what I got to do, because I know why I'm here. Next day, you're going to swim 8 miles. Where? In the ocean. There's sharks in the ocean. Yeah? Well, if you're a shark, who do you eat? Me or the dude who likes running marathons over there? Eating him is like feeding a bear lettuce. Like, the bear's not full. He might have just figured out he was hungry. He's like, oh, I'm hungry now, Eat me, you're done. All right. That's what I got to do, because I know why I'm here. See, when you know your why, you don't become unbeatable. You don't become unbroken. I don't like those words. They're not true. You become indomitable. You may be beaten. You may be broken, but you will never be dominated. You'll never be conquered. And that's the gift I want to give my kids. And I think everybody's got to have 2 whys. You got to have a high why and a big why. And your high why is why you exist. It's what you do. It's what they say about you after you're gone. And your big why is your profession. And your high why, here's the stats on death. 1 of 1. Pretty convincing. We're all going to go. Even Christ died. He just beat it. The rest of us, not so lucky. When we're gone, they're going to say something about us, and what's that going to be? And that's your high why. And I'll share with you my high why, and I'm going to share it with you for 2 reasons. 1, I want you to understand what I'm talking about, and 2, I have this habit. I make plans and I publish them. And I publish them in a room full of leaders, because here's what I know about the men I know in this room right now. If I start being different than what I tell you right now, they'll call me on it. They'll call me on it. And I need that, because I know me. My high why is this. My high why is this. I have 3 little girls. Maddie, Grace, Lily Claire, and Sutton Rose. Maddie was born while I was over. I came home this little 7-month-old, just perfect picture of love for me. It changed my life like that. Lily Claire, Sutton Rose, and all I want to be is the kind of guy I want my girls to marry someday. I want to be a man worth my daughters. That's it. That's my high why. Who I am, what I do, who I do it for, who I do it with. If my girls come home with a guy like me, I better be okay with it, because that's what I showed them. And that guy will be 4 things. He'll be purposeful, passionate, protective, and a provider. And if he's not those 4 things, I'm not going to have to scare him away, because my girls aren't going to want him. And if he is those things, I'm still going to scare him away, because it's my girls. Let's just be honest. But I just want to be a man worth my daughters. It's simple. And when my why is that deep and that in my bones, man, the what's, they're just what's, and they bounce off me with a little help from my friends. My big why is my profession. Why do I wake up and do what I do? My profession is very simple. I love it. I do 2 things. I protect leaders and I hire heroes. That's all. TRG, we help people make great decisions, do it the right way, and come home. In Hold Fast, which we're doing right now, we get to help leaders not miss, be high versions of themselves. And I get to hire heroes to do it all. My employees are decorated and wounded combat veterans. And man, let me tell you what it does to go to work with lions every day. It'll make you keep your teeth and claws sharp, because they're worth it. And I only tell you that to tell you this, is that because those whys are so clear, it's easy for me to stay on point and never forget why I'm there. I don't have a bunch of great days all the time. I have hard days, but I don't have bad days, because I know why I'm there. So balanced, curious, tribal, always knowing why you're there. And the 5th one is this, and honestly, it's kind of the hardest, because it's really all about you. All elites share their scars. They preach from their pain. They grab younger versions of themselves. They go, no, come here. You're about to get that scar, and it's not worth it. You think it's good, but it's bad. I've got that scar too. And they do this because they know that the best case scenario, if you don't share your scars, is you get where you're going to go, but you get there slower. And it costs more. At worst, people die. In our world, the best thing that happens is you die, because you didn't stop someone from making your mistake that you got away with. You're talking to a guy that buried his dad when he was young. Man, where I could be in so many different places, but for the courage of other men and women who would come up to me and share their scars with me. Hey, Clint, I remember who you told your dad you wanted to be, and that's not him. Or, hey, Clint, let me tell you what, before you make this father something he wasn't, let me tell you some of your dad's scars. And thank God for courageous men and women who shared their scars with me. And I mean this so much, and I take this so seriously. Here's what I tell you. If you don't share your scars with other men, you're a coward. You're a coward. And I don't know if anybody's ever called you a coward before, but I'm doing it. Because by God, young men like me need you to share your scars. Or we're just going to be just like you, the parts you don't like. Share your scars. Women, man, it's so important. Let me tell you what, the world is running hard for the hearts of young women right now. And the only thing standing between us and them is our willingness to share our scars and you. I'm married to an incredibly brave bride. She's amazing. I got this t-shirt. It's pretty funny. I have a t-shirt that says, I beat anorexia, which clearly I did, let's be honest. So I'm acknowledging my personal victory over anorexia. But the story behind it is this, and it's a scar that my wife has that she's not excited to share, but she will because she's brave. When I met my wife, she was struggling with anorexia, and I didn't know it. She was just stunning, and she said hi to me, and that's pretty much all it took, really. I didn't have my front tooth, and just goes on from there. And it was electric. And we were at dinner one night in our early days of dating. It's probably our third date. And I didn't grow up with much. I didn't, and that's not a big deal. A lot of people grew up with less. I'm not worried about it. But it does mean if I invest in a date, like I want you to, let's do the date, which means if you order a chicken Caesar salad, eat it. That was not, and I remember looking at her and I finally stopped. I said, here's the deal. I think you're really pretty and you're really nice and I really like you. And I think you like me too. But if you don't strap on the feed bag, we're going to have some issues. Because that's $9.65, and I just can't just take that home. And to hear her tell it, she's like, the shackles just fell away. The story ends well, but it might not have. And we got 3 beautiful little girls, and I know my wife's going to come to them and go, girls, don't compete for hearts of men where that's the difference. And let me tell you about one of your mom's scars. Shoot. I wish I had the bravery of my wife. But she's brave, and we need it. So here's the deal, people. Bad, average, good, excellent, elite. You're going to have a chance to do all of them. It's not who you are, it's what you do. I have this thing we say called hold fast, stay true. I love being in the Navy. It's got such a rich history. And there's these sayings that you just fall in love with, whether you're in the Naval Academy or not, or whether you just served or not. And one of them that I love the most is the saying, hold fast, stay true. And I used to write it on my knuckles as a football player, H-O-L-D, F-A-S-T. And what it meant was this. In the old days when the ships had sails and the rigging and all these other things, when the seas hit you, it was a reminder, hold fast. Grab something that's not going to fail and hang on. And you yell it to each other, hold fast. Hold fast. Stay true, I'd write it on my palms. And it was for the helmsman, and it was the guy at the wheel. What the guy at the wheel would do is say, hey, listen, here's the deal. Whatever course you were steering when the storm hits you, stay. Because you're either going to let the wind steer you, the waves steer you, the storm steer you, or you're going to stay on course. And the only way to make it through is hold fast and stay true. So Spur, here's the deal. Today, tomorrow, the next day, as soon as we leave here, you're going to have about 100 chances to be bad, average, good, excellent, and elite. Be elite. Be elite, be elite, be elite, be elite, be elite. Because you never know who's looking at you. You might be the scared young guy trying to remember who he told his daddy he'd be. Hold fast. Stay true. Thank you for letting me spend time with you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Clint, that was fantastic. Thanks so much for being, will you thank him one more time for being here with us today?
Thank you. Did we get some tweets? Did people
We
tweet?
got a lot of tweets. My name's Alex Judd. I had the pleasure of helping Mac organize this event. For not having a Twitter, you're a very popular man on Twitter.
Do I have a Twitter?
I don't think you have a Twitter.
Do I have a Twitter? No, I don't have a Twitter.
He has a hashtag now, though. People are using hashtag Clint
That's
Bruce,
very
so that's
scary.
good stuff. Yeah, I don't think I mentioned this to you earlier. I'm a marathon runner, so I don't think we're the best of friends.
No.
But if you ever want to go swimming in the ocean, we can totally do that, right?
But
Outstanding.
you're pretty close to me. You're little too, so I'd be careful. Your cardio is not helping you inside the circle of death. I'm joking. That's great.
First question we've got is from a girl named Emmy Mora. Emmy is actually a high school student at Dripping Springs High School. She left school early to be here with us today.
Awesome.
She said, you talked a lot about passion and profession. What are you passionate about?
Man, I'm passionate about opportunities to do this. Listen, I'm very selfish, and I'm very selfish in this, and I know that the really high versions of me emerge when I'm doing things I'm passionate about. So all I try to do is create a life I can be passionate about. And that doesn't mean the supply chain of the things you're passionate about doesn't mean it's easy. It doesn't mean you have great days. It means I'm willing to do the little stuff that you don't want to do unless you're passionate. So the reason I stay passionate is I'm just intentional, man. I always know why I'm there. Man, I get a chance to come here and visit with you all. The only thing I hate about it is I don't get to hear your stories. That's it. I'm passionate about my girls who I'll head home to later on tonight. I'm passionate about mentoring young men and being mentored by others. And so for me, one of the reasons I stay passionate is I only choose things that I'm naturally passionate about. I'm not passionate about running. Therefore, I do not choose to run. I set myself up for success. I trust myself and I trust people around me. Hey, I think I'm passionate about that. And I got friends in my life that go, no. You're just intrigued by that right now. But that's not your passion. Don't go there. That's where the scars come in. I make myself available to the guidance and insight of people I trust, and I aim myself and I have them help me. And it's worked out pretty well.
Thank you. The next one we've got is from a guy named Keaton Lee. Is there a specific point of time in your life where your leadership was most tested?
Man, I would tell you without question. And everybody thinks it was in the SEAL teams or football or some bowl game or something like this, and I'll tell you when it was. So I have this awesome dad, and he's great, and he loved me really well. My dad used to say these things to me all the time. He used to say, there's two kinds of people in the world, but it would change every time. But he was big, so I didn't say anything. Remember, we're from Arkansas, so I knew what he was trying to say, but son, there's two kinds of people in the world, and he said, son, there's two kinds of men in the world. There's men that walk in the room and say, here I am. There's men that walk in the room and say, there you are. Man, I want you to be a there you are kind of man. Isn't it cool to know that someone's looking at you and looking for you? And so when I buried my father, everything I told him I would be, the leadership I said I would exhibit to our family, because we had time to talk about it, became real. And I had to try to live to that standard that he and I had collectively built for me. And of all the things I've ever done, that's the scariest moment of my life when I considered the concept of failure. If I fail at this. And so for me, just because life is what it is, everybody has that pitched moment of are you what you say? Mine just happened a little earlier than either my dad or I would have wanted. But it's, it made all the difference. It's like that Robert Frost poem, Two Paths to Virgin Wood, and I chose the one less traveled, and it's made all the difference. We all have that moment. I just had mine early, and that's where it all started. So.
Thank you. Next question we have is from Lori Hahn. She said, what intentional steps can a leader take to create a tribe culture?
Yeah, so the very biggest thing he says, if you're the idea, you're not a tribe. You at best can be a team. But one of the fundamental things, if you want to lead a tribe and not just teams, it can't be about you. It's got to be about something that even transcends you, and you got to work for the mission as well. No man's bigger than the mission. Anybody who's been in the military will tell you that. To be able to have an idea that even you're willing to bend yourself to is the only thing that can attract other people that want to be tribes as well. And that's the first and foremost. Everything else is just details. But the foundational things, you can't lead a tribe if you're the idea. You may be the chief, but you're not the mission. Because that won't get tribe mates to you. It may get a bunch of teammates that say the right stuff. When the hill gets high, they won't be there, and they shouldn't be.
Thank you. Final one we have, and I think it's a good one, is from Kyle Lumpkin. He says, how do you motivate others to carry a chip on their shoulder, move with a sense of urgency, and be pissed off for greatness?
That sounds like a pseudonym. That's like a question I would have asked me. I don't know, man. I just, I'm an underdog kind of guy. I always wanted to go where people didn't think I could go, as long as I was with the right people, doing the right thing. I think for me, there's nothing you can ask of anybody that you're not doing yourself. And so when I say leading by example, I don't want to over-celebrate that deal, because I think leadership can come in very different forms. Sometimes it can be passionate, it can sometimes be very quiet. I'll tell you this, in any great organization, great unit team I've ever been a part of, there's been two personalities, there's been two people. There's the follow me boys and the or else. Two kinds of people, follow me boys and or else. And in any great organization, both of those personalities have always been there. Sometimes they've been in the same person, but they've always been there. You know, Ray was follow me boys and the or else. You know, Peyton Manning, he's follow me boys or else. No one's worried about losing a fist fight to Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's not going to beat you up. But if Peyton Manning doesn't want you on the team, you're not on the team. He's follow me and or else. The simple thing you have to do is you have to remember, you have to kind of decide what you are. And both of those are great. You can be follow me and no or else, but find it. You can be all or else and no follow me, find it. And then you just go. Now, I'll leave it with this because we've got to end up, and I want to be a steward of everyone's time. I used to hate this moment in the military where we just plan, and then let's have our what ifs. Let's have our what ifs. And just go around the table, it would never exhaust anybody. What if this? What if this? What if this? What if this? And I finally just raised my hand. I'm like, hey, what if we don't leave? What if we don't leave? What if we don't have some percent confidence and trust our talent and go? Because talking here, we fail. You've got to be willing to move out. And losing your fear of failure. Not loving it, not having an affection for it, not trivializing it. But if you can lose your fear of failure, young men, you can become a very dangerous version of yourselves. Lose your fear of failure. Failure is the part of any great thing. The cool thing about failing when you're surrounded by other people is they help you up pretty quick. And if everybody fails spectacularly in one great moment, and you're all just on the ground looking at each other, it's a pretty decent story. Then it's a competition. You fell before me, you tripped me. But here's the deal. All I wanted to do today is, with the time I have, I don't even want to change your lives, but I want to just tell you what I've held fast to. Man, these things I tell you, I've held fast to them for 40 years, and they've helped me stay true. So hold fast, stay true, and thank you for spending time with me.